Welcome to Mind Your Own Business, the series that hears from the entrepreneurs who are part of the UK 100's growth companies. If you want to hear how the people behind the UK's fastest growing companies make it happen and where they're going to go next, then please stay tuned. The Growth 100 list celebrates the very best founder-led companies who are enjoying huge success. We're delighted to work with the people behind the brand, and the idea being John Maffioli and his wife Charlotte Quince. And we're already starting to plan for the 2023 list. What we're going to do with this series is look into the individuals behind these huge brand names. What makes them tick? What inspires them? What has been their biggest failure? And where are they going to go next? I'm really glad to be joined today by my co-host, Craig Skelton.
Good afternoon, everybody. And today we are joined by Aaron Gelbard, who's the founder and CEO of Bloom & Wild. We're going to be posing a number of questions to Aaron, but for everybody watching live out there, please do feel free to send in your questions. So I guess, Aaron, we'll probably start with, where did it all begin? A garden?
A kitchen table. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad has been an entrepreneur for more than 50 years. 3 of my 4 grandparents were entrepreneurs, so it was always something that I knew I wanted to do. My dad has gone through ups and downs over his career. When I was a teenager, there were more downs than ups, and that was actually really formative. It meant that I didn't drop out of university when I was 19 and start something. Instead, I spent a few years working as a management consultant and sort of building up some savings and learning about business before trying to start something. I care very much about giving people good experiences and the sort of reactions that I get, and that always prompted me to try and do well at school, jobs, things like that. But I was never fully fulfilled, and I wanted to do something where I was going to really live or die by feedback at a much bigger scale. And it was that brought me to the flower industry. People care so much about their experiences when gifting flowers to each other. You get a lot of feedback when people are thrilled, and you get a lot of feedback when people are cross, in a way that just isn't common in other industries. And as a consultant, I'd learned that businesses with great customer satisfaction or advocacy can really thrive more than their peers. As I learned more about the flower industry, I realized that there wasn't anybody just doing it brilliantly, and I wondered whether I could bring a combination of my training and my personality and this obsession with feedback to build a flower company that people truly love.
And taking that feedback then, how have you applied that into Bloom & Wild, I guess positive and negative?
Yeah, so we've built systems to really make sure that we're gathering data and that we're breaking it down to very specific levels. So when we ask somebody for feedback, we have some software that reads the text of their response as well as looks at the score, categorizes it into things like, is it about the quality of the flowers? Is it about the delivery? Is it about the online experience, etc.? Connects it to what bouquet they ordered, what carrier it was delivered with, and things like that. And we look at all of this information in real time, which means that we can spot problems earlier, solve them earlier, and continue with our obsession to get good feedback.
Brilliant. And I suppose, Aaron, just thinking about it, you're both the founder and the CEO. What have been the challenges? And I suppose what keeps you awake at night doing the CEO role?
So the job kind of changes every 6 months, and there have been different challenges along the way. Obviously, now we're in a more difficult macroeconomic environment, and that's a big part of my focus. Over the years, though, we've worked through different sets of challenges. In the early period, a lot of the challenges were around technology. I didn't come from a background of building technology, hiring engineers, managing them, product management, and ultimately, that's a big part of how our business is different to others, is that we've built every step of the value chain ourselves using bespoke proprietary technology. And, really understanding the importance of investing in that and doing it well in the early days was probably the biggest challenge.
Do you enjoy, you are a co-founder, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there watching today. Do you enjoy doing the CEO role as well?
Very much so. I think I'm better suited to this stage than I was to the beginning. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, for better or for worse. And at the beginning, there were so many things that I knew were not as good as I'd have liked them to be, but we didn't have the resources, capabilities, people to address those. Now we've been able to hire a brilliant team of over 400 people. We've been able to make acquisitions, which maybe we'll talk about. And so we've just brought a brilliant set of capabilities into our business. And I think we can really sort of do things well. And our goal is to make life a little more thoughtful and beautiful. And I think now we're actually doing that because we've been able to bring together the people and the technology and the capabilities that we need to achieve that.
And actually, you just touched on acquisitions. How have acquisitions impacted your business?
I think if I'd known, then we would have done it sooner, but it's been a massive positive. Bloom & Wild was on a good trajectory beforehand. We were fortunate to see a lot of growth in the UK online flower market, and we'd started our international expansion. But we've really been able to accelerate our growth in continental Europe, and we've gone to our business now being about a third outside the UK. We're in 8 countries now as a result of the acquisitions. We've also really strengthened our capabilities in flower sourcing, bouquet manufacturing, and the technology that is required to do that really accurately at scale, which is so important because we are sending out millions of bouquets every year, and we want every single customer to have a great experience. And the Bloemon and Bergamot teams, those are the two companies that we acquired in the Netherlands and France, have lent into that aspect of the things that you need to do to run a great flower company more than we'd done at Bloom & Wild. And so I feel that we have got complementary skills as a result of doing it.
Well, did you find any difficulties in transitioning the acquired? Because, you know, we see a lot of companies bringing in and acquiring a lot of companies, and the transitions either of different cultures or whatever it may be. But did you find that difficult, or was that DD you did before even acquiring?
It's extremely difficult, and actually there are lots of things that are difficult. Obviously, we've re-platformed Bloomon's technology onto Bloom & Wild's technology stack, and that's been challenging from a technical perspective. We have combined the operations of the businesses, which is also complex, but the most complex thing is the culture. And we did both of the acquisitions during COVID, so we never met each other. I'd met the founders of each of the businesses once or twice pre-COVID because sort of get to know people in the industry, but we did the entire deals, both of them, fully remotely without any in-person contact. And then as we began, announcement and integration, that was fully virtual as well. And while there have been many positive aspects of flexibility and things like that have come with work from home, I think the fact that we did these acquisitions without any in-person contact meant that the trust building between teams has taken longer than if we were able to spend more time together in person. I think we've really achieved that now, and actually relationships between the different parts of our group are excellent now. But it's been a year and a half since we acquired Bergamot and nearly 2 years since we acquired Bloomon. And I think if we'd been able to spend time in person, it would have been quicker. The other thing that we learned along the way is that you need to be sort of right-brained as well as left-brained about doing this. So something that we've done is built a new set of vision, mission, and values for our entire group, rather than sort of imposing Bloom & Wild's values on Bloomon and Bergamot because we were the acquiring company. We brought together a group of volunteers from all 3 brands and had them collectively come up with a group vision, mission, and values that we now all really buy into. And sometimes things like that can be a little bit of extra work, but they make people feel much more like a part of a new combined family of brands.
And actually, it's a really important point about people and having that vision and values. But how do you go about making sure that your 400 employees are all motivated and want to stay? I mean, obviously it's a really cool brand, and so everybody wants to work for Bloom & Wild, but is there anything specific that you've had to do?
Yeah, so lots of things. I think having something like vision, mission, values is really important. I think gathering feedback, unsurprising, the same as with our customers, with our employees is critical. So we measure employee satisfaction using the same tools that we use to measure customer satisfaction. We look at Net Promoter Score of our employees. And then the other thing that we've really lent into here is our mission and purpose as a business. We have lent pretty heavily into sustainability and ESG more broadly. And we do this partly because it's good corporate citizenship, our customers value it, but we also do it partly because our employees really value being part of a company that, that's trying to do something good in the world.
And we did have a question come in, which was around actually that piece on ESG and actually what are you doing? We maybe from my side, we talk a lot about reporting, but ESG is a lot more important than obviously just about reporting. So I guess it'd just be useful to understand what you're doing at Bloom & Wild in respect of ESG.
Of course. So environment is clearly front of mind for a lot of our customers. And so while we're working across all three aspects, a lot of the work has been environmental. We are now certified carbon neutral, have been since 2020. That's the case for all three of our brands. We have made a net zero pledge via the Tech Zero initiative, and we'll be halving our carbon emissions by 2030 and net zero by 2045. That translates to a 7% reduction per year, and that actually has brought about a whole host of operational change. We now have a per bouquet carbon budget as well as monetary budget that we use to design bouquets with. So there's been a lot from a sort of, physical sustainability perspective, also organic bouquets in a number of countries, fully recyclable packaging, among other things. However, I guess the other thing that we've really done here is try to think about doing business in the right way more broadly. We're well known, for example, for being the initiators of opt-out, where people can we proactively ask people whether they'd rather not hear from us at sensitive occasions, potentially like Mother's Day or Valentine's Day. And that's something that's been so popular that we've now created the thoughtful marketing movement and open sourced how we do this with a couple of hundred other companies having signed up. And for me, that's an example of sort of ESG more broadly and just trying to do business in the right way. And we may lose a few sales by not sending as many emails over a period like Mother's Day. But if people find it a difficult time of year and don't want to hear from us anyway, they're much more likely to remain our customers over the long term. So that's what our ethos has been.
And just picking up the ESG piece and the things you're doing, do you have sight of the impact, i.e. the data of helping you achieve those KPIs? I mean, yesterday we released our CEO survey, and I guess comparing to last year, what's become really evident is CEOs now are getting the data that helps them make the right decisions, the right KPIs to help them measure, are we achieving what we're achieving? I'm not sure we were probably there a year ago. Everybody was saying we're signing up to it, but now I sort of feel like we're on that journey. Is that where you're at?
100%. It's really important to us. I guess because of my background and work as a consultant, I've always cared about the data. I've always leaned into making sure that we've got well-developed analytics. We have a business intelligence and data team of around 20 people, and that's a deliberately big investment because it means that they can really partner with all functions within our business, and we're making decisions based on data. We have brought Bloom on not only onto our tech platform but also onto our data platform, so we're able to look at data across countries and across brands and use that to make better decisions. We run hundreds of A/B tests a year across things like on-site and in-app experience, also how we think about email and things like that. So when we make a change like introducing opt-out, we measure the impact of introducing it in terms of do our customers stick with us? Are they more satisfied? To go back to the customer satisfaction topic.
Things coming through, a lot of appreciation on that opt-out. So yeah, absolutely hitting it. And interesting, that appreciation just on the sustainability. It's obviously a big passion of yourselves. It's very important to you. But that customer satisfaction, are you also getting that feedback from customers? As in, if you didn't do it, put aside your beliefs, are you getting the feedback from your customer? Look, this is important to us as well.
You sometimes get feedback from customers. So people want deliveries to arrive on time. They want products to be good quality. But sometimes you need to think innovatively as well. So we weren't getting customers saying, why are you not proactively offering an opt-out feature? We got a few customers saying, before we had this feature, can I please not get emails about Mother's Day? But we realized that we could be proactive rather than reactive about this, and that would be much more impactful. Similarly, another thing we do is proactively resend flowers for peaks like Mother's Day or Valentine's Day in advance if we think that the original bouquet isn't going to arrive because of data that we track from our delivery partners like Royal Mail. So we work out a probability that a bouquet won't arrive on time. And if it looks like it won't, then rather than waiting for a customer to complain and then sending them a replacement on the 16th of February, we figure out that it's not going to arrive and we send them a replacement by courier to arrive on the 14th. And that's something that others don't do. And again, our customers don't say, why don't you build a system to proactively work out whether my flowers will arrive or not. But they do complain that if they're late, and so we've taken it upon ourselves to innovate and build what we think is a better solution.
Just while we look at one of the questions in just in between, actually, you might have to read it because I think it says.
I think this is the question I wanted to ask. And
okay, go on then. Over to you.
But I'm going to leave that one to the end.
Okay, fine. We'll leave that to the end
because I think I've got the expert, and I do want to leave that question to the end.
Just picking up on that sustainability. I mean, we spend lots of time with clients, as you say, Craig. People were ticking boxes. You seem to have embedded it in your business. Are there any tips that you could give those businesses out there thinking, well, he seems to have it all sewn up, how do we do it?
Yeah, two things. Firstly, I really think it's worth having values and sort of formalizing them as a business. We have 4 values. One of them is lead change for good.
Right.
Because our values are not just my values, there's a working group of people that came up with them. I actually wasn't part of the working group deliberately. I wanted other people to lead it. I think that once something is one of your values, you can embed it into many aspects of your business, recruitment, people's performance reviews and promotions, recognition on a regular basis. So the values part has been really important. The second thing is from a sustainability perspective is not thinking about it as a cost, but thinking about it as a benefit. I could have said, it sounds expensive to proactively send people replacement flowers, or we can probably get flowers more cheaply if we bought them from somewhere less sustainable. But those things will drive customer satisfaction. They'll therefore drive advocacy and repeat rate. And because we view that as a North Star, we don't make those sorts of decisions, and we see this as an investment rather than a cost. And I think if you change your mindset and have that ethos and try to attract partners, employees, investors that think in that way as well, then you can embed it into your business.
And a question's just come in from the floor. What's been your biggest challenge running a hyper fast growth business, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest challenge is continuing to create a brilliant place to work as it gets much bigger, especially as you grow through acquisition. And you go from knowing everybody by name and knowing people reasonably well to being an organization where people are in, we now have 10 different locations.
Right.
I can't by definition know everybody in person. People come and go. And so you can't just sort of trade on your own ability to make relationships. You need to instead build a system where you understand what's important to people, and things like values, sustainability have been really important there. And therefore you create identification, not through just one-to-one relationships, but through understanding what's important to people and building a culture and a group of fellow leaders that will work to make that sort of organization.
And I think that's even more important nowadays, with where everybody's struggling with not just retention but attracting of new talent. I mean, it is a real war for talent out there. Given everything else going on, it's probably not something you would expect. Can I look forward?
Of course.
So we 25% of the CEOs we interviewed basically turned around and have said, if we don't transform, we're not going to be a viable business in 10 years. As you look forward, what does transformation look like for you and Bloom & Wild?
Over our first 10 years, we have focused on trying to build Europe's leading and most loved flower company. And I think I'm really proud of the progress we've made there, the countries we're in, the brands that we have, the customer satisfaction we have across those. Over the next 10 years, we want to transform and become the destination to make life a little more thoughtful and beautiful. And that vision doesn't have the word flowers in it, because we think we can play a greater role in our customers' lives and be more useful to them if we're not just where they go to buy flowers and plants, but actually where they go to express their emotions to others and sometimes to themselves. And so we've, as a result of that, started investing in new product categories, selling other types of gift, in particular edible gifts that our customers are looking for, not only as add-ons, but also as standalone products that people can buy. And this is meaning that our customers are choosing us for new recipients and new occasions. I'd like to do more of that, because we've earned the trust of these customers for so many things: good customer delight, products arriving on time, good digital experiences, and people trust us to curate great products for their gifting needs. So if we can go from doing that just in the flower category to doing that across many types of gift that people want to send, then I think we both make a more successful company, but also we become more useful to our customers.
And I'm assuming it's working with brands that also have the same values as you, the ESG as we talked about, and actually promote your brand as such in the same way.
We are starting to run out of time, co-host here. So
I have my question.
I know you've got your question. And we have got more questions to the floor, but we're going to have to, Aaron, have you back here again. So do you want to ask your last question?
We're coming up to February. There are a lot of people out there. You are the man of flowers. Recommendations for Valentine's Day?
My recommendation is don't buy red roses.
Right.
And listen out there, no red roses.
No red roses. Bloom & Wild does not sell red roses, and we haven't done at Valentine's. And we don't sell straight line red roses at any time of year. We haven't done for several years. We used to. We then did some customer research, and we asked people what their favorite and least favorite flowers to receive at Valentine's Day were. Red roses were by far people's least favorite to receive. From a sustainability perspective, they're not great either, because there's a massive spike in demand for them one day of the year. It's really hard to forecast it. Yeah. So there's a lot of wastage of red roses on the 15th of February. And if instead you create bouquets that are romantic, but also more original in that expression, we have lots of options. We have bright roses, pastels, sort of like blush pinks, etc. Always mixed with other flowers, because we're really proud of our floristry and bouquet creation. We think that's much more interesting than just 12 straight red roses.
And going by the answer to the last question, also to team it up with other product, edible or the likes as well.
Yes.
Excellent. And my last question before I do close up is, again, because the audience really likes this, if there's one thing you'd wish you'd known before you started, what would it be?
I think when I started, I had a vision to try and build a great business in the UK. And I sort of thought in my own frame of reference, what could I be a customer of? What would my friends be a customer of? And that was really the original incarnation of Bloom & Wild. But I didn't start by thinking about international, and I didn't start by thinking about the applicability of what we've done in the UK and other countries. And over the years, as I started to focus on that more, I initially thought that because something had worked in the UK, it would be sort of like reasonably translatable. And in some ways that can be true. Our technology has been very translatable. In other ways, it's been less so. And that it's really that learning that brought us to look at growing through acquisition and buying Blue Mon and then Bergamot. And that really wasn't where I started, because I started more from my own frame of reference. And I think that bigger picture thinking, if you're trying to build an ambitious, multi-country business, is really important.
Brilliant. Aaron, thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, thank you. Thank you, audience, for listening. And I'd just like to say there will be many more Mind Your Own Business series. The next one is the 8th of February, where we will have Nina from Lux Tripper. So please listen in and keep bringing your questions and we'll get them answered. So thank you.
Thank you.